Hello, I'm John Bangay. I'm standing in the middle of what is probably the finest preserved English cathedral cloisters. The architecture here spans nearly 300 years, and successive generations of monks have walked, prayed and contemplated within its walls. This is Norwich Cathedral, famous not only for its beautiful cloisters, but also for its Romanesque and early English architectural designs. Its tower is the tallest preserved Norman tower in England. The building of this cathedral was probably an act of penance by Bishop Herbert de Losigna, who wanted to purge the sin of having paid a bribe to become bishop, and needed a journey to Rome to seek forgiveness from the Pope. Having been granted his wish, Losigna returned and laid the foundation stone of the new cathedral in 1096. When Herbert went to Rome, he must have seen the remains of the Roman Colosseum, the place of martyrdom for so many early Christians. And there is a striking resemblance between the unrolled walls of the Colosseum and the walls of this cathedral. One of the most remarkable things about this cathedral is that this is not local but French stone from Caen, 200 miles away. It was brought across the sea to Great Yarmouth, then up the River Wensum to Pull's Ferry, and finally, with a specially dug canal, to this cathedral site. The cathedral was sufficiently completed for consecration in 1101 and completed in its largely Romanesque form in 1145. Both the chapels of St Luke and Jesus Chapel unusually have chapels above them, permitting worship on both levels. For 100 years, the cathedral was largely unscathed, but tensions between the cathedral and the city folk began to increase over markets and rents, and finally exploded in riots in August 1272. The cathedral was extensively damaged by fire and theft. King Henry III had to restore order, locking up the prior, executing 70 citizens and excommunicating the whole city. It took 6 years to restore the cathedral, and King Edward and Queen Eleanor attended the reconsecration in 1278. In 1320, the Ethelbert Gate was completed, replacing an earlier gate destroyed in the riots. In 1297, the building of the cloisters began, a process that was to last over 300 years. As the building work progressed, so the style subtly changed, reflecting the general changes in church architecture over the same period. As in the rest of the cathedral, the fabric bears witness to those that used it. Here, succeeding generations of monks have worn away this step, going in and out of the dormitory area. Here are small indentations where the monks 500 years ago played the ancient game of nine-man Morris. Sometimes, when they were walking around these cloisters, the monks might feel in need of some extra inspiration, and they might turn to one of these, which are bookcases which used to contain holy books, the Bibles and the lives of saints, for them to read as they walk around these cloisters. There are many examples of graffiti throughout the cathedral, often dating from medieval times. Here you can see the shape of a ship about to be swallowed by a whale. More sinister here, someone has written someone else's name upside down and in reverse. Initials inside the outlines of homes, seeking God's protection from sickness and the plague, or granting absolution from sin and entry into the kingdom of heaven. The Black Death first struck Norwich in 1349, eventually killing a quarter of the population. In 1463, lightning destroyed the wooden spire, which in turn crashed onto and destroyed the roof. It was decided to replace the wooden roof with a stone vault, richly decorated with over 1,000 stone bosses illustrating scenes from the Bible. These were, and still are, brightly painted, as was much of the cathedral inside and out at that time. The boss's subject matter may have been inspired by the miracle or mystery plays, popular at a time when few people could read, telling familiar Bible stories. The boss in the 10th bay is actually a hole, where it is thought an incense-burning angel would descend during the services. In 1480, work began on the stone-encased brick spire, now the second tallest spire in England, sitting directly on the earlier Norman tower. In 1538, the monastic part of the complex was dissolved, and some of the religious monks were retained as canons. The cloisters remained, thankfully, unscathed. In 1643, during the English Civil War, the cathedral faced its next great challenge. An angry city mob, stirred up by parliamentary Puritans, stormed the cathedral, stripping it of its idolatrous content. Paintings, sculpture, precious glass and books were smashed or burned. Only some quick thinking and ingenuity by some unknown cathedral clergy saved what is now probably the cathedral's most valuable artwork. Bishop Despenser's Riots dates from the late 14th century and has exquisite depictions of the life of Christ. As the angry mob approached, it was hurriedly taken down and placed face down on trestles in a workshop, as if it were a workshop table. It was smuggled up into the roof later, where it was rediscovered in Victorian times and restored to its rightful place in St. Luke's Chapel. Since those times, the cathedral has largely remained unchanged, until more recent additions, mostly in the 19th and 20th centuries. The great west window was refurbished with a new stained glass design in 1845. In the early 20th century, the St. Saviour's military chapel was added at the extreme east end of the cathedral. During the First Great War, the nurse, Edith Cavell, was executed by the Germans for supposed espionage, and she is buried in the cathedral close. Most recently, the cathedral has gained two modern buildings, which fit harmoniously alongside the original foundation. The hostery here is a place of welcome for visitors and exhibitions. The refectory provides refreshments and rest, as the formal monastic refectory had always done. The cathedral spire still dominates the city skyline, and I chose to make my main drawing from Mousehold Heath, overlooking the cathedral, where William Kett assembled his peasants' revolt in 1549. You can find my drawings and paintings in the cathedral shop, along with other souvenirs and guidebooks. Norwich is a superb example of Romanesque cathedral design, along with its well-preserved cloisters, which bear the marks of many generations of monks and other Christian souls. These have made a place of tranquility and dignity, continuing to celebrate the Christian life in many and varied forms.